Everyone at Halston Motors knew Jim, Quiet Wrench, Mallory. He wasn't the guy cracking jokes at lunch or gathering crowds in the break room during Super Bowl pools. No, Jim was the one hunched over an old model carburetor at the back of Bay 6, his hands stained permanently black from decades of grease and oil. He worked the graveyard shift, spoke only when spoken to, and even then, used fewer words than a torque wrench used bolts. No one really knew him, but he was always there, like the faded clock on the garage wall that still ticked reliably while the world spun and changed. He'd been at Halston for 27 years. In that time, the company had gone through 4 different names, 3 CEOs, 2 bankruptcies, and 1 near-miss lawsuit over a failed automatic braking system. Jim just stayed. When parts ran short, he got creative. When younger mechanics gave up on faulty prototypes, Jim quietly fixed them without ever taking credit. No one remembered hiring him. No one knew his age. Some thought he lived in the garage. All they knew was, if something was impossible to fix, you gave it to Jim, and a day later, it worked like new. Then the new management came in, suits from out east with polished shoes, buzzwords, and spreadsheets. They didn't look at who fixed what or who saved which project. They looked at cost efficiency, performance reviews, and strategic value alignment. Jim didn't score well on any of that. One Tuesday morning, 2 HR reps, fresh out of grad school, visibly uncomfortable, met Jim in Bay 6. Mr. Mallory, we're restructuring the operations division and, well, your position is being phased out. Jim didn't ask questions. He just nodded once, like a man who'd already seen the ending of a movie long before the climax. He took off his faded Halston cap, picked up his old metal lunchbox, and slung his dented red toolbox under one arm. As he left, one of the younger techs, Danny, followed him into the parking lot. Jim, wait, this is total crap. You've done more for this place than anyone. That braking algorithm, the cooling solution for the electric van last year. That was you, not R&D. Jim paused. His gray-blue eyes, quiet and sharp, settled on Danny. I offered, he said simply. They weren't listening. And then he walked away. No one saw Jim Mallory for months after that. Bay 6 sat empty. At first, no one noticed. The new managers filled the space with some glossy new AI diagnostic station that broke down every other week. The company started pushing forward on its flagship project, a self-driving, fully electric SUV that was supposed to rival Tesla and Lucid. But the timelines slipped. Components overheated. The steering sensors had inconsistent data. They flew in consultants. Delayed the launch. Stock dipped. Customers canceled pre-orders. The company's name, once synonymous with innovation, now trended for all the wrong reasons. And then, something strange happened. TechCrunch ran a quiet piece on a mysterious new startup, WrenchWorks. The company had no PR team, no social media presence, and no flashy launch event. But insiders were whispering about something revolutionary, a compact electric engine system, no larger than a carry-on suitcase, that could be dropped into any vehicle, regardless of make or model. No external cooling system, no battery bloat, just raw, efficient performance at half the production cost. Engineers were stunned. Investors started sniffing around. By the time Bloomberg covered it, auto execs were already trying to license the design. Eventually, someone got curious. They traced the patent filings and prototype blueprints. The name listed, James P. Mallory. Back at Halston Motors, chaos erupted. Wait, our Jim Mallory? The new COO reportedly asked in a meeting. The guy we let go. Yeah, someone muttered. The guy we never listened to. Suddenly, Jim was everywhere. CNBC ran a segment, the silent mechanic who outsmarted the industry. Engineering blogs dubbed his modular EV system, the Mallory Core. Companies lined up, waving checks. Tesla offered $100 million for exclusive rights. He declined. A Japanese automaker tried to fly him out first class. He said he preferred to stay home. Home, as it turned out, was a quiet farm in northern Ohio, a modest spread of land with a tin roof barn, a rusting pickup, and a workshop built from salvaged shipping containers. Reporters tried to visit, but Jim rarely spoke more than a few sentences at a time. When asked why he never pitched his idea more aggressively, he just said, "Didn't need to. I knew it worked." The truth was, Jim had been working on that design for years. Every night shift, every scrap part, every failed engine tossed out by R&D, he salvaged, studied, improved. While others raced to make things bigger and more complex, Jim did the opposite. He simplified, focused on heat distribution, modular connections, and intelligent battery-to-motor ratios. He'd pitched it once, quietly, to Halston's old CTO, but it never made it past the front desk. He wasn't bitter. He'd just kept building. What set the Mallory core apart wasn't just its size or price, it was its adaptability. A rural mechanic in Iowa could install it into a 2004 pickup. A car factory in Vietnam could mass-produce it. It could run in scorching heat or sub-zero winters. And every time someone doubted it, the system just worked. Wrenchworks grew fast, but not recklessly. Jim hired a small team, mostly ex-mechanics and overlooked engineers. People like him. People who listened more than they talked. Meanwhile, Halston Motors tried to save face. The CEO made a public statement praising Mallory's brilliant innovation, conveniently omitting that they'd once deemed him non-essential. Stockholders weren't impressed. By year's end, Halston was seeking a buyout, ironically, from a conglomerate now licensing the very tech they'd once ignored. Jim never gloated. When asked by a reporter what he felt seeing Halston struggle, he just shrugged. "I gave them a good idea. They didn't want it. That's not on me." At 64, Jim Mallory became an accidental icon. College students studied his system. His notebook, the same one he carried out on his last day, was now preserved digitally, filled with diagrams and calculations in tight, scratchy handwriting. Engineers called it a blueprint for the future. But Jim didn't care about fame. He still spent most mornings in the workshop, tinkering. Wrench in hand, coffee thermos on the bench, old country music on the radio. Quiet as ever. Because for him, it was never about changing the world. It was about making things work, simply, beautifully, and right. And somehow, in doing that, he changed everything.